results, announcement of our performance, and also giving you the analysis. Before I do anything, I am led. Mr. Mbuni will welcome you, and after that, we'll take on the program. Thank you very much.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable MEC, Head of Department, DDGs, colleagues who have been organizing this event. Thank you very much. I'm Anand, this is one. It's not a breaking of COVID-19 regulations. It's contextual factors. Thank you very much, colleagues, for making time. The media today we are in a jovial mood, celebratory mood, because I'm thinking all of you have heard from the media how we've done. Hopefully, let me say today you're not going to answer difficult questions about infrastructure and LTS and stuff like that. I hope you'll be asked very good questions about how did you make it, under these difficult situations. But we thank you guys for making time. We thank you for continuing to be our voice in terms of the work that we do. We are happy to be associated with you. We are happy that every time we call on you to come and listen to us, you do so, without any hassle. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Mr. Tima will be doing the chairing. Right on my far right is DDG Curriculum, Mr. Ray Chwagati. That's where Ray. Right. Next is Mr. Chwagati. Honorable Gade. Next to NEC Honorable Gade is our only lady that you see here, representing everything that has to do with affirmative action, that has to do with the change, that you want, that has to do with doing away with gender stereotypes and everything else. That's our mother, Dr. Nalet Bude. Then here, another Mtagomyama, they call him Whitey, is Mr. Kid. Is Mr. Kid that is a DDG for schools. We call it IOM. I am Seshem Buni. I'm the DDG for corporate services. Thank you very much, colleagues. I will hand over to our capable Mr. Tima to drive the program. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, DPG. Colleagues, we just done 1 and 2, which is opening program and knowledge and leadership. We are going to go straight to the bone of content. We'll allow the MEC to do his presentation. Upon finishing, the MEC will also engage the MEC and the leadership of the department on the questions and answers. After that, we'll adjourn. Then we'll talk about what will happen after that. For now, can we please hand over to the MEC Funde Gade to take us through his presentation. MEC, over to you, sir.
Thanks, Program Director, Mr. Mtima, HOD, Dr. Mbute, and the DDGs, because we are coming from a historical evolution of the provincial progression of grade 12s for a number of years, that we have been able to make some strides and ascendance into where we have been in the past 2 years. And I think it's important that we take that tune, DDG Chwagati, precisely because we are a department of education. Whatever that we do should always be anchored on that, primarily, so that we don't lose sight on what then becomes the core function of the department. I always argue in many people, DDG Mchida, that we can build all schools, all of them. But if kids have not passed, you are zero, full stop. You can build all schools, you can bring stadiums for kids to play if they have not made it academically, you haven't done anything in terms of this sector. So that's why I'm then saying it's going to be important that from time to time we always make sure that we don't lose sight of what is expected of the sector itself first and foremost. Yes, of course, there could be those areas that could be helping us to get the momentum and get whatever that we would want to achieve. But centrally to that is the skills, growth, the capacity to analyze, the accumulation of knowledge and skill of the learners that this department has been established for. So that's what is key for me and what is key for this leadership. We are coming back to you after a national decline of the previous year, which has given rise to the leadership to sit down and analyze. At the heartbeat of that analysis, which I would want to disclose today, SG, there was one question that we have been asking, in particular myself and the SG. If the country is on the decline in terms of the progression of learners, but KZN is on the ascendance, what is it that is happening? Because last year, everybody was going down, precisely because of what you know, but very strangely, one province was not on decline, meaning that there is something that needed to be looked very closely and see how do we then panel beat our strategy and tactics of ensuring that we can be able to give the desired outcomes, albeit any challenge that we are confronted with. At the center of that discussion that we have as we are planning for this year was what are these areas that have made both province and national to have a decline, right? And we picked up that as a province, that one area which needed an attention very strongly was that we have got a series or a huge number of schools that are at section B, section 58B, which in essence are a contributory factor for the decline of the province. Because once you have those schools that are in section 58B in a huge percentage, in essence, you are not going to be able to get any target that you would want to. So that's the one area that we picked up, and that must be addressed with urgency, and that must be given an attention by the HOD and the team that I'm seated with. And I'm glad to say it was part of what we have been able to deal with it and close chapter on it. But the second question that I think, as we present the statement, needed again, DDG Kyokati, to look very closely, even on these results that we have now, even on these ones that we have now, is the issue of the efficiency of language in the country. It's becoming a thorn in the flesh in the system, not in the province, general in the country. There is an emerging phenomenon of Africans being unable to respond on their own original language. Mhlambi ke ubuyayijonga indlela nje nani niphendula ngayo kwaba Facebook beni xa nibhala. Ayiyo lesibhala ngayo thina apha. Sisebenzisa lambhalo wenu pha ko Facebook. Xa sibhala apha kune standards esetiweyo for ubhala. So I'm saying it's another area which needed to be closely looked into as we traverse the journey of ensuring that the country is in a better pedestal as we move towards 2030. And I'm picking up those two, which in my view needed a bit of a collective wisdom and also an exercise that begins to tease all the obstacles that might make you not be able to get whatever that you have set for yourself. The last question that I think we must also applaud ourselves, including yourselves, is that this is a collective success. from a collective effort. Whether you look it from a provincial government's point of view, it's a collective effort which have given us a collective success. Whether you look it from a level of social partners, the stability we have in the sector has given us this outcome. Bandu ngothula le Chepos SG ngoku ndandisathwele enye iChepos ndadla ngokuthi kulaa ndawo ndandikuyo funa kubekho umahluko brare xa kukho istrike naxa singekho. Xa singekho istrike makucace bakho strike in terms of output. Xa kukho istrike makucace bakho kwistrike. So mangaveli ifane nje kuthi ngongekho nto iphazamisileyo i-results zifane. So I'm saying the stability itself have contributed to what we have achieved, and I then applaud all the people that have made us to be able to sustain the momentum of the stability from the previous HOD to the current HOD, and from the previous MEC to the current sitting MEC. The 2021 matric class is the 8th cohort to sit for the NCS based on caps, with a significant increase in the number of full-time enrollment in 2021. The number of full-time enrollment increased from 72,926 in 2020 to 97,127 in 2021. This is a difference of 24,201 candidates, which constitute 34%. Meaning that we have got a huge number of learners that have been enrolled in the past academic year for grade 12. The provincial overall pass rate, the class of 2021 did us proud with 73% pass rate, a 4.9 improvement from 68.1 pass of the class of 2020. Given the high enrollment in the class of 2021, the total number of children that passed the National Senior Certificate stands at 66,770, making it 17,079 more learners passing in 2021 compared to 2020. In the National Learners Award ceremony run by the National Minister of Basic Education, an Eastern Cape learner, Nzoyiya Mpendulo from Gobinamba Senior Secondary School in OR Tambo Inland District, secured the 3rd spot in the National Quintile 2 Achievement Awards category. We wish him well in his pursuit for further tertiary studies. The performance of the progressed learners in the system is also to be noted at this point in time. A total of 7,160 progressed learners sit for the NSC examinations in 2021, 1,946 managed to pass, which constitute 27.2% of those cohort of learners. Out of the 1,946 who passed, a total of 235 obtained bursary pass. We are raising this issue from an analysis from a qualitative point of view, so that we don't just analyze results for the sake of analyzing them, but we must be able to answer the question that begins to say, what kind of results do we have? Are they responding to the national development plan that we have set for ourselves? Are they responding to the provincial development plan that we have set for the province? Are we diversifying the curriculum enough so that we can deal with the issue of the second economy within the mainstream economy that we have in the country? So that politically we are able to deal with the issue of the two nations within one nation in the country. So we are 28 years in democracy now. We can't be speaking of two nations within a nation from an economic point of view. So that's why education's economy becomes critical. Not just economy, but education's economy becomes critical. A clarity of purpose on how the trajectory moving forward should be given a space to deal with some of the matters that have been a thorn in the flesh of the system in the past. The gender performance in the province is as follows. We have taken a decision to make a breakdown. The total number of females enrolled was 52,058 and achieved 72%. The total number of males was 39,442 and achieved again 73.2. Bukhona kubuwele obwenzekayo apha, because nationally the minister was indicating the same strange thing ka 50-50 owenzekayo nalapha ekupaseni, because naphayana it was 73% females, 73% males. Nalapha it's 72% against 73.2, which means it's almost 49-51. So which begins to say at least we are stable from a social point of view, so that when we develop the province and the country, we are biased and gender sensitive to that particular question. Quintile performance is as follows. Quintile 1 schools achieved 68.8% in 2021 compared to 64.9% in 2020. Quintile 2 schools achieved 70.5% in 2021 compared to 65.6% in 2020. Quintile 3 achieved 71.7% in 2021 compared to 64.4% in 2020. Quintile 4 achieved 80.4% in 2021 compared to 2020, which achieved 78%. Quintile 5 achieved 93% as against 92% of 2020, meaning that all the quintiles have improved in the province, if you look to these statistics that have been given here. So you don't have a quintile that has fallen below what was the previous performance of the previous academic year. The performance of the special schools was dropped by 3% in 2021 to 73.3 from 79.3. That's the only area that would need an attention of the collective leadership and management of the sector as we go towards 2022-2023 academic year. The bachelor passes, the number of bachelor passes increased by 4.1% from the 30% of 2020 to 34.1 in 2021. Districts vary in their levels of bachelor output, but the following districts have demonstrated a commendable improvement. BCM is the top district with highest number of bachelors passed at 42.9%, followed by Nelson Mandela Bay at 39.2%, followed by Amatole West as the third highest at 35.9%. We are giving you the first three categories. All the districts had bachelor passes below 30%, and that is Joe Kabi at 27.3% and OR Tambo Coastal at 28%. In as much as they have a bachelor pass that is below 30%, as indicated in the statement, but you can make a sense that they have not actually underperformed in terms of the quality, but it's just that they are compared with districts that have moved rapidly up in terms of the qualitative output that they have given the people of the province. In terms of the subject performance, the subject performance have improved across the spectrum except for Afrikaans and English home languages for their marginal decline, albeit less than 1%. Of the 51 subjects that were written, 31 subjects improved. Out of 51, 31 subjects improved, 15 subjects dropped, and 5 subjects retain stability within the range by which they were performing in the previous academic year. Subjects that drops are very low, are the ones that we have got very low enrollments subjects, except for Maths Elite, which dropped by 1.4 from 73.7 to 72.3%. Big enrollment subjects exhibited commendable improvements. These are big because they have not less than 10,000 learners enrolled for the specific subject from 2020 to 2021 trends that shows below. For example, accounting improved from 72.3 to 76.4, agricultural sciences from 76.5 to 81.2, business studies from 77.8 to 80.6, economics from 70.2 to 73.4, geography from 69 to 73.8, history from 88 to 89.3, life sciences from 68 to 70.8, mathematics commendably improved from 39.7 to 46.6, physical sciences commendably improved from 56.6 to 62.3%. I would just invite your attention on the last two, your maths and physics. Remember, these have been declared gateway subjects in the country, precisely because of the National Development Plan that I've talked about. And unfortunately, or fortunately for the province, we are one of the provinces that have enrolled more learners on maths and physics in the country. Meaning that we have got more learners doing maths and physics in the province than other subjects. So the participation of maths and physics is quite very high in the province. By extension, it means your break or make it in the province is here in the maths and physics, because it's different from other provinces. Because maths and physics is in majority in the province. We are responding to the Provincial Development Plan and as well to the NDP that is a Bible that we are following. Now, any strategy that does not respond to these two is disastrous in the province. Any intervention that does not address this is disastrous. So that's why the focus has been in some of these key strategic gateway subjects, so that you can deal with huge number of learners that requires an attention of the provincial government, and that also give a gateway for the improvement of the economy of the province and of the country in general. So I'm pleased that we have been able to deal with this phenomenon, which is an elephant in the house in simplest terms. Center performance is as follows. The province presented 943 full-time examination centers, and their performance per quintile improved quite considerable. Improvements are discernible from the following categories. 18% improvement is in the number of centers passing at 70% from 166 centers in 2020, which has increased to 170 in 2021. Again, here you can see the improvement. The 22% improvement in the number of centers passing at 80% from 182 centers in 2020 to 207 centers in 2021. 19.1 improvement in the number of centers passing at 90% from 118 in 2020 to 108 in 2021. 16.8 improvement in centers passing by 90% from 125 in 2020 to 158 in 2021. You can see that this was properly coordinated. It's very systemic, very structural. and very scientific. Because if you look at this data that is given to you, it tells you that the planning and execution was congruent. There was a sense of complementary attitude between what has been planned and the execution. Therefore, whether you talk about teachers executing their task, whether you talk about learners executing their task, whether you talk about departmental officials executing their task, there was a semblance of coordination. Hence, these statistics that have been given here, they are indicating a clear coordination and a proper execution of the plan. Districts with high enrollments and bigger numbers of centers automatically became our major game changers. And these are BCM at 123 centers with 10,274 learners, OR Tambo Inland with 100 centers with 11,265 learners, OR Tambo Coastal with 76 centers with 12,704 learners, and as well Nelson Mandela Bay at 98 centers with 11,489. So is that coordination that I have just given you. The district performance in 2021 took a new turn, with district performing below 70% drastically reducing from 9 to 3. The top 5 performing districts in 2021 are as follows. The Buffalo City at 79%, in Nelson Mandela Bay at 78.2%, Yamatole West at 74.6%, Matole East at 74.4%, Alfred Nzo West at 73.7%. So you could see again that there has been drastic improvement, especially when you talk about Matole East, which was moving from 67.3%, an increase of 7.1%. And also Alfred Nzo West, which was moving from 67.5% to 73.7%. So those districts have actually given a high percentage of increment and improvement across in the provincial space. The 2021 grade 12 cohort, in putting it in the proper context, we would want to argue with you that the COVID-19 pandemic posed an unprecedented challenge to the class of 2021, as you understand, that they were flowing from the grade 11 of 2020, their grade 12 in 2021, with that content gap as a result of the differentiated systemic approach in education and learning and teaching of learners in the country. So you were bound to have an extraordinary effort for you to get where you are, because uthetha ngabantwana who are a bit extraordinary from the pedagogy in education that we use. Abantwana abanza uthina, abantwana abayi-product yokonyuselwa kwa grade 11, in simplest terms, because they were operating from a differentiated curriculum approach as pronounced by the minister and also as pronounced by the DBE entirely. So you have to close that gap this time around, ensure that content-wise are equally and match the standard that is required. Ingxaki ke intoba, when you talk grade 12 in any country, you are talking of an international standard. Some of the kids are going to go to other countries outside of the borders. So when you plan grade 12, in fact, when you plan FET band in the country, you must understand that you are planning in across countries. Some of them are going to go to Cuba for medicine, for example. So if the country have not been able to match the standard required, so you might be producing kids that are not going to be internationally recognized. So you must be a bit careful and be a bit meticulous in dealing with some of those questions. Hence, I'm always arguing that this is not a child's play. When you talk education, systemically as it is, but unfortunately, you must meet international standards here. You don't have to meet just provincial and national standards. You must meet international standards here, because some of the kids must go beyond the borders of this country and be able to represent the country through the ambitions that we have. The mitigating risk for COVID-19, colleagues, given the risk factors associated with the ravage of COVID-19, it should be noted that the department made all efforts to mitigate the risk factors to ensure that learners perform at the peak of in the 2021 NSC examinations. The department engaged in a 16 weeks high-leveled framework of support for grade 12 when they return from their school vacation. The high-level framework of support included an analysis of Term 1 results, the setting of targets for every school, circuit and districts, the analysis of learners and schools that perform in different categories of performance, and interventions planned in different categories. That is the area that I was alluding on, which these DTGs and the HOD have been embarking. Going to an extent of analyzing each and every learner that is doing grade 11 and 12 here in the province. For example, if Gade Fundile is doing 7 subjects, and in one of those, in 3 of those subjects, Gade Fundile is at level 1, not even level 2. Now, the intervention must not just be hollow, must be able to say, how do you take Gade from level 1 at least to level 3? Just on those 3 subjects. So that Gade can be able to progress to another phase, right? Not just intervene, but specifically, what are the forms of interventions in specific learner, specific subjects, specific level? Bangakanana bantwana kwi-trial examinations, Mr. Mabona, that were at level 1 in mathematics. We had to go to that extent. Bangaphi ngobani bakwesiphi isikolo? What is the problem? What is the performance of that teacher that is doing mathematics at that school? Kungathi kanti abantwana be-underperforma nje kanti ingakhona ingxaki nalapha kutishara. So that intervention must be a bit comprehensive and broad, so that you are able to be spot on in zooming into the crisis itself and be able to deal with it and put it aside. So that's why when you look into the trial examinations output, moving from the third term results, you are able to trace the increment to this level where it is now. So it means we have been able to learn our own lessons and be able to deal with some of the expected targets that have been set. The department used the standard mid-year examination papers that did not materialize due to the abrupt closure of schools in June for schools to use the practice examinations when they return after the school's vacation. Schools were advised to complete the curriculum by mid-August so that more attention could be paid to catch up on the gaps and specific topics. Drilling on concept, terminology, lower order questions, and etc. Baja ngokuthi ke otishala HOD, sometimes abantwana batshoni because abazi i-content. But abantwana have not pitched at the level required from a conceptual point of view, both in terms of language, methodology, and as well in terms of terminology. Because once conceptualization lacks, uzaba nomntana othi selephumile kwe-examination center at khandiyazi babekubuza into ethile. Yayibona? Khandiyazi ba kanti lo mbuzo ubusithi. Khandiyazi ba kanti lo mbuzo ubufuna ukuthi. So that's why our intervention was a bit scientific deals with the methodology, the content, the conceptualization, and even tactics of dealing with questions sometimes. The tactics of dealing with questions sometimes, so that you are able to cover up and give a resounding output that would want. On curriculum coverage, colleagues, as we wrap up, in order to ensure curriculum coverage, there had to be classrooms and school-specific programs that deals with teaching and learning, categorized as follows: and extended our program of monitoring and afternoon classes through partnership with GEN, Maths and Science Infinity, vacation camps in the form of autumn, winter, and spring, learners teacher support material distributed across all learners made of soft and hand copies, mind your gaps, study guides, electronic textbooks, notes, concept works, worksheets, everything that could assist a learner to achieve the targets that we have set. Focus intervention on improvement of common SBA tasks. This is another area which I think SG, your team with DTG, Chwakati and Mabona has mastered. In the past, in this province, we always have a problem here on school-based assessment. Sometimes at DTG, kubekho izikolo bezingazazi bazinabantwana abangafakwanga i-marks. Sometimes ufumana standardization have not been done in a manner that could make us able to be where we would want to. So a bit of meticulous from the branch yakwa curriculum. I think we must take our hats off DDG Chwakati for that, because it has made us at least to understand the language that is expected, to understand what is expected, to understand the implications of not being meticulous when we deal with some of these things, so that we don't get surprised when kids failed. We don't get surprised when kids passed. We know that this is the reason that they have made them to pass. This is the reason that have made them not to pass. So I'm saying part of that has actually made us at least to be where we are. Colleagues, in conclusion, I am proud to express that no learner was left behind in getting opportunity to sit for their examinations. The key message to unsuccessful candidates is to regroup, pursue their dreams. To all successful candidates, the department wishes them to all the best in their future endeavors and make this province, the country, proud. The future of this country is in your hands. Make it work. And I think as we wrap up SG, I was confronted with one question this morning, which would require a provincial government, Mr. Mabon, not this HOD and these DTGs. It would require a provincial government. Yesterday, we were saying we're going to support that Mpendulo to further his studies in mathematics. The people of the province are then saying to us, oh, you are committing MEC to ensure that we have got doctors, right? But the Department of Health is not renewing the contracts of the doctors presently. So a serious contradiction, and I'm therefore saying we are handling the matter of the contractual workers of the Department of Health at a cabinet level, and for sure we are going to resolve that. Remember, basic education is the beginning and the end of career path. So I'm responding on this question as a member of the executive precisely because they themselves can't have doctors and nurses there if they are not produced here. The starting point is clarity here in basic education, which sectors must be produced for the generations to come in other sectors of government, and also for the benefit of the people of this country. So hence I'm then saying, this is a lesson that all of us are learning, that how do we ensure that the infrastructure we have in relation to all the departments that would be required to sustain the lives of the people of this province, collectively we can find answers on them. So we are still, as this leadership, committed to ensure that we are going to support that kid in various forms and shapes, so that he can be able to do the medicine that he aspires to do. And we're going to engage the provincial government so that we close up possible gaps that could be there, that people are crying about, so that we don't have instability in the province on the basis of probably the shrinking fiscus that is constraining the Department of Health in absorbing contractual workers, whether it's nurses, whether it's doctors. But I'm then saying, as part of the collective leadership of the provincial government, I'm taking responsibility on that. It's not for the MEC of Health to take that responsibility. It's for all the members of the executive to take responsibility, because we are speaking of the health profile of the people of this province. And therefore, it is in that regard that I'm saying we commit that asuzuyishiya phakathi lanto, sizayilandelela, sincedisane kuyo yonke into engumcelimngeni engaba mhlambi ibangela bakubekho urhiqirhiqi kule nto ndiyibonayo ke this morning ithethwayo kula makhasi wento obana njengoba nisohlulwa nje kukunqandela aba bakhoyo niza kwenza kanjani ngalo. I'm then saying leave that to the discussion of the provincial government leadership. We are going to sort it out within a short space of time, and we are going to make sure that education and health is stable in this province, precisely because those are aspects, priorities of the ruling party, and also aspects priorities for the government. So there is no way that we can be found wanting on what must happen in education and also on what must happen in health. I'm not undermining other government departments, but I'm saying the life and soul of this government nationally depends on these two, whether we are able to ensure that there is sanity here, there is stability here, there is clear plans here, there is everything that is required of a developing nation like ours in these two departments, which are critical for social reconstruction of the nation. Thank Program Director.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. We are now going to the question and answer session. I'll appeal that we allow people 2 rounds of questions, of course. We'll take the first round of questions. Yes, we respond, then we go to the second round.
No.
We'll take the first set of questions. Colleagues, any questions? Going once, going twice.
I request a one-on-one.
You request one-on-one. 2 of you are requesting one-on-one. ENCA and SAPC. Colleagues, are you happy? Mr. MBC, Nekalala, Yayo, Konemi Buzu. Sawucela ke into khona sisenza kwasho besenza ngalo kulesibili. SG no MEC remain behind. Siya ODGs nabakhulula bona kwenza bakho bafike questions.